Today we're going to be talking about the consumables in the game. Now I'm going to be going through these as if you didn't know anything about them. So if you are a brand new player, I will be talking about each one of these and what you should be using as you go up through the tiers. And if you are a more experienced player or you do have a lot of credits, then I'll also be teaching you about different ways of making the most out of them, making the most out of equipment sales and discounts, and also what you should really be using when you are playing at tier 10 and you do want every single advantage that you can possibly get. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. You can start using consumables once you reach tier 2. At this tier, you will only get access to one consumable slot, and what I would recommend you do is choose repair kit. A small repair kit is going to be absolutely fine. In fact, most of the time, even at tier 10, small repair kit is all you really need. What this will do, it will allow you to repair one module on your tank if it gets destroyed. Meaning that if your tracks get destroyed and you're in the open, you'll be able to use this and repair them straight away. Be warned that unlike large repair kit, this one will actually require you to press the key that it is designated to. In this case, if you're at tier 2, it's going to be 4. And then you'll need to press the key, whatever it's designated to, for the actual damage module. For example, if your tracks get destroyed, it is going to be 4-5. Because the tracks are going to be on the 5th key. If it's the ammo rack, it's going to be 2. And of course, along that entire line, there is all of the other modules. I believe off the top of my head, the gun is on 3, the turret's on 4, the engine is on 1, and I don't know if there's anything on 6. I think fuel tanks are on like 8 or something like that. So yeah, there's lots of different modules, but that doesn't really matter. You'll see them in game when you can actually select them. Now, once you get up to tier 3, you'll have 2 consumables that you can choose from. Again, I recommend you choose repair kit, and I recommend you choose a med kit. However, what I'd recommend new players to do is actually put your repair kit on 5. Now, the reason being is that tracks is on number 5. So as soon as you get tracked, you can quickly press 5-5, and then you get your tracks back straight away. It's a little tip that most of the experienced players tell people to do, and it is a good tip. The problem is, for me personally, I have been using 4-5 for so long now, it's not even faster because I end up just messing up. So when you see me in game, I will always have my repair kit on 4 and then med kit on 5. And then finally, once you get to tier 4, you can use all 3 consumable slots. Obviously, you want to have your repair kit and your med kit. Switch them around again, as I've already said. But for the third one is down to you. Now, for the majority of times, especially at low tier, just use a manual fire extinguisher. If you're playing anything below tier 5, just use a manual fire extinguisher and it will just be absolutely fine. What I would recommend you do if you are using a manual fire extinguisher is probably rebind it in the settings, which you can do so up here in settings and then go down to controls. And if you just scroll all the way down, you'll see that number 6, which is going to be your fire extinguisher, you can then rebind it to like your mouse or something like that, like a mouse button or whatever. Because that way, at least then, you don't have to go all the way and stretch out to number 6 to actually use the fire extinguisher. However, if you're going from tier 5 onwards, I would recommend you always use automatic fire extinguishers. Even if you're a free-to-play player, it makes no sense of wasting credits on a manual fire extinguisher when an automatic one, you'll get most of the time for missions as well, just from playing the game. And also, it provides a flat-out bonus of minus 10% to the chance of an engine fire. Notice that it says engine fire, not fuel tank fire. Okay, so if you get shot in the fuel tanks, you're not going to get a bonus to that. So below tier 5, use a manual one, and then from tier 5 onwards, use an automatic one, or you could use chocolate. Now, once you get up to tier 5, you also unlock the directives, and the directives can be useful to you, but for the majority of the time, don't bother with them, because you're not going to get a load of them unless you've been playing the game for a very, very long time, and it doesn't really provide that much of a difference. If anything, it's kind of a waste to just use them in a random queue. I would probably save these and use them for, I don't know, like ranked or something like that if you do play that and are an experienced player. But if not, I wouldn't really worry about them too much. Just leave them for now, and then once you get a better understanding of the game, then you can start to use them. The exact same thing goes for the directives to the crew. The only thing that I would recommend some people use is like camo on scouts. And also, this is the day before the update goes live for 6 cents. So the 6 cents directive is still here, but everyone's going to get 6 cents anyway for free. So this is kind of irrelevant now. The only thing that it's going to do is that the perk will activate 1 second earlier. So don't really worry about directives. Worry about them once you get a lot more experience at the game, and then you can mess around with them. But for tier 5 and onwards, obviously you have the choice between an automatic fire extinguisher. You could use a manual fire extinguisher if you really want to save some credits, but most of the time, automatic fire extinguishers are actually going to help you out a lot more than the manual one. Just that flat out bonus of minus 10% to engine fires really does help out. And you could alternatively choose extra combat rations or any food of the nation's type. Now, the food is going to cost exactly the same as it would for an automatic fire extinguisher. But the problem is with food is that it's going to cost you a lot more to actually run, because this will get consumed every single battle. So you are running 20,000 credits every single battle at a loss, basically. Which is why I say that automatic fire extinguishers are good, because even though they are expensive, they don't always go off, and they do just give you a bonus all the time. So you only ever get charged that 20,000 credits if they go off. Also bear in mind with automatic fire extinguishers, they only go off 0.5 seconds after you've been set on fire, which means that you are going to take 1 tick of fire damage before it gets extinguished. So you will take, say, if you get shot at, I don't know, 300 damage and then you get set on fire, you'll probably take like whatever the equivalent is. I think it's like 100 or something of damage extra. But it's a hell of a lot better than burning for, say, I don't know, 2 seconds, 3 seconds before you can actually gather your concentration to actually put it out with a manual one. So they are definitely worth it. So if you are free to play, just stay with the automatic fire extinguisher. They'll be fine. More than good enough, and they will save your life quite a few times. However, obviously, the food is going to give you plus 10% to crew skills all battle. So straight away, you are getting a 10% buff to all your crew skills, which is why you see on some tanks that I have, they'll be 120%, which is obviously, if we go into here, it will show you the commander's bonus, obviously from the commander, that's other stuff, but 10% to this, the equipment and consumables, which makes up 121%. But obviously on the commander, because he doesn't have the bonus, it is just 10%, so 110%. And that is applied to absolutely everything, meaning that if you have, say, snapshot or smooth ride, that is going to get an even bigger bonus if you have food. Probably not a noticeable one, but it is going to get improved. So if you do have some money lying around and you think, yeah, you know what, we'll use some food, especially if you've got some premium time, as long as you're not just spamming gold, then you probably won't lose that many credits. A lot of people say how free-to-play players have to use a manual fire extinguisher. It's just a load of rubbish, to be quite honest with you. If you know what you're doing, then you could use extra combat rations or food of any nation's type, and you'll be absolutely fine. As long as you don't spam gold and miss, then you're going to be okay. When you're first starting out as a free-to-play player, then yes, use an automatic fire extinguisher, because you're going to save credits and you can earn them up and build them up. But eventually, once you get to the higher tiers, you'll notice that you're going to end up losing credits anyway. And it's not even going to matter if you use a fire extinguisher or not. That is just how tier 10 works. And as long as you're in a clan as well that's running like credit boosters and stuff, which anyone can join, you could even join one of my clans down in the description. If you use food, you're not going to be losing that many credits. All that it really requires is that you have a decent knowledge of the game and that you don't miss a load of shots. Because even if you're firing standard ammo, if you're missing those shots and not penning, you're going to be losing credits. Even with standard ammo, because it's just a waste, right? So make sure you get a good hit ratio and you won't lose as many credits, even if you're firing gold. Because when you fire gold when you need it, and I say gold, but it's just really just extra credit rounds. Even if you fire them that are more expensive, as long as you're penning the shots, it won't matter too much. So if you're first starting out, free to play, automatic fire extinguisher, obviously lower tiers manual, but from then on, it's, yes, you either have the choice between automatic fire extinguisher or you use food. So let's now go all the way up to tier 10, and we're going to speak more about the different types of consumables and what you can have. I mean, as you can see, even at tier 10, I'm not using, like a large med kit or repair kit or anything like that. It's fine. You don't need to use a large everything once you get to tier 10. It's just not how it works. So if you don't have any of these large ones, don't feel like you have to use them. You don't. The thing is, these large ones here, the large repair kit, large first aid kit, don't really give you anything other than a just nicer experience, I guess. There are maybe 1 in 20 games where you feel like you could have used a large repair kit or a large med kit and you would have survived, maybe. Because a large repair kit is going to give you 10% to module repair speed, which is super nice, just constantly. Throughout the entire battle, it will give you 10% module repair speed. And it only deducts that 20,000 credits if you use the item, which, let's be honest, most of the time, you're going to be using a repair kit anyway. For a large first aid kit, it gives you minus 5% to stun duration and 15% from crew injuries. That is pretty nice. However, you are going to be, if you're in a heavy tank at least, using that every single game. Because if you get stunned, you just instantly press 5 and get it done. Which is why I would never recommend anyone like bulk purchase this. Because even though that, yeah, the bonuses are quite nice, it's just not, because that minus 5% stun reduction is just nothing. Like, it's just not. That's 0.5 seconds for a 10-second stun. So not really going to save you. Whereas if you're using a small med kit, you can just press 5 straight away, and that's only cost you 3k compared to it costing you 20,000. So yeah. So now we're going to be talking about the other consumables that are in the game and what you can use them on. Now, obviously, there are the different types of food in the game. I'm not going to go through them all. For each nation, they are different. So, for example, you have extra combat rations on the Russian tanks. For the French, you have strong coffee, and so on and so forth. For example, pudding and tea for the British. But there are also special devices or consumables that you can only use on certain nations. For example, the Remove Speed Governor, which is going to give you 10% engine power to any Russian and Chinese tank. It costs 3,000, and once activated, it will give you 10% engine power, but it will damage the engine over time. Now, you can turn this on and off, so if you're, for example, going up a big hill, you can quickly turn it on and get there a little bit faster. However, I don't really recommend you use this because, as I've already mentioned, just use the Holy Trinity. Either you have repair kit, med kit, and food, or you have repair kit, med kit, and fire extinguisher. I wouldn't bother using anything else unless you're kind of in very, very niche kind of scenarios. You also have the Lendlies Oil, which is only available with Russian tanks, which gives you 5% engine power over the course of a battle. It's kind of interesting because it has like the American star on it, but it's only for Russians. And then for basically every other nation, we have the 105 Octane Gasoline and the 100 Octane Gasoline. The 100 is going to be exactly the same as the Lendlies Oil that you get on the Russian tanks. As you can see, it's 5% to the duration of the battle. Doesn't need to be activated or deactivated. Always on throughout the entire game. And as you can see, it costs 5,000 for each one. So either the Lendlies Oil or this 100 Octane is going to cost you 5,000 credits throughout the entire battle. Now, if you do have a lot of credits, and I do mean a substantial amount, because this is going to give you double of what the 100 Octane gives, but for quadruple the price. Yeah, I don't know why. It's going to give you basically just double that, but I don't really know why you would ever use this. Again, it's kind of similar to this. Just stick with the Holy Trinity. And there is one more that I forgot to mention, which is going to give you exactly the same as a Lendlies Oil and the 100 Octane, but it's just called Quality Oil, and it's for the Chinese and Japanese vehicles. They does the exact same thing. Why can't we just have one? Like, why don't you call it Quality Oil? This doesn't even have any branding on it. Have all of them be Quality Oil. Done. So just to finish off, I'm going to go through here and just reiterate some of what I've said. So for the first slot, I'd recommend you use first aid kit. For the next one, small repair kit. For the last one, either automatic fire extinguisher or food, depending on your preference. If you are a free-to-play player and you don't have a load of credits at the moment, then just get an automatic fire extinguisher. But realistically, if you have a few 100,000 and you're not saving up for anything, just go with food. And then it should look something like that. So that is how I'd recommend everyone to set up their vehicle, because you have the rep kit on 5, which is going to give you the ability to just press 5 instantly and repair your tracks. Lovely. And you can then also just press 4 to get your med kit. And the food is out of the way. You don't ever need to touch it. It's activated throughout the entire game, and you're good to go, not ever needing to press 6. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this helped you out. And let me know down in the comments down below if I missed anything. And let me know how you set up your tanks. I'm sure there's going to be some people that are a bit interesting with their choices. But, you know, if you're doing some meme kind of builds, then sure. Like, it's fine. You can mess around with some of the consumables, like you could put 105 octane in there, for example. But if you're playing the game properly and want to get the most out of it, then yeah, set it up like I've said. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.